Ambassador Velthor of the Kryn Empire had made many miscalculations in his long diplomatic career, but none quite like saving the human colony on Proxima 7. It had been a simple gesture, really. When the Zephyrian Concordat had blockaded the fledgling human settlement, threatening to exterminate what they called an invasive species, Velthor had invoked an ancient treaty. One word from a Kryn ambassador, and the Zephyrian fleet had retreated. The humans, all 43,000 of them, were spared. The human governor, a weathered woman named Rebecca Martinez, had clasped his primary manipulator with both her small hands. "We won't forget this, Ambassador. Humanity owes you a debt." Velthor had dismissed it politely. Humans were new to the galactic stage, barely a century into FTL travel. What could they possibly offer a civilization spanning 400 systems? That was 20 years ago. Now, Velthor stood in the ashes of his mistake, watching his homeworld burn from orbit. The Zephyrian Concordat had returned with a vengeance. Not against humans, against the Kryn. Centuries-old grievances, territorial disputes, and the humiliation of their retreat at Proxima 7 had festered into all-out war. The Concordat's armada was overwhelming. 70% of the Kryn fleet was destroyed in the first week. Velthor's people were proud. They would never beg for assistance. But as he watched the bombardment reduce his civilization's crown jewel to rubble, pride seemed a poor shield against extinction. His communication console chimed. The frequency was human. "Ambassador Velthor." The voice was crisp, military. "This is Admiral James Morrison of the United Earth Alliance fleet. We're in position." Position? Velthor's translator struggled with his confusion. "Admiral, I sent no distress call to Earth." "No sir, you didn't." There was something like amusement in Morrison's voice. "But Governor Martinez did. 20 years ago, you saved 43,000 human lives. She made us promise that if you ever needed anything, anything at all, we'd deliver. Humanity doesn't forget its debts, Ambassador. Admiral, please understand, the Concordat fleet numbers over 1,500 capital ships." "We're aware," Morrison interrupted. "Sending you tactical overlay now." Velthor's screen erupted with data. His 3 hearts nearly stopped. The human fleet had positioned itself in a perfect sphere around the Concordat armada. But the numbers, it was impossible. 6,000 human vessels. Capital ships, carriers, dreadnoughts, and craft Velthor didn't even recognize. Where had they gotten such a fleet? How? 20 years is a long time, Ambassador, Morrison said. After Proxima 7, certain elements in the human government decided we needed to be ready. Ready to pay back a debt. Ready to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten our friends. We've been building. Waiting. This is madness. You'll start a galactic war. No sir. We're ending one. On your behalf. What happened next would be studied in military academies for centuries. The humans didn't just fight, they obliterated. Their weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Railguns that could punch through 3 ships in a single shot. Swarm missiles that moved like living things, hunting targets with terrifying intelligence. And something they called kinetic artillery, simple tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds that hit with the force of nuclear weapons. But it wasn't just their technology. It was their tactics. Their ferocity. Their absolute refusal to accept anything less than total victory. The Concordat fleet tried to scatter. The humans had anticipated it, closing every escape vector. They tried to surrender. Admiral Morrison's response was broadcast across all frequencies: "You wanted war with our friends. Now you have war with us. You should have chosen more carefully." In 6 hours, the Zephyrian Concordat lost their entire military fleet. Not routed. Not defeated. Annihilated. When it was over, Morrison contacted Velthor again. Ambassador, we're deploying humanitarian relief to your surface. Medical teams, engineers, supplies. We'll help you rebuild. Admiral. I don't understand. This fleet, this response, it must have cost trillions. Decades of preparation. All for a single favor. There was a long pause. When Morrison spoke again, his voice was softer. Ambassador, Rebecca Martinez was my mother. She died 5 years ago, but before she did, she made me swear an oath. She said you taught her something important that day at Proxima 7, that mercy isn't weakness, and that standing up for those who can't defend themselves is the highest form of courage. Morrison continued, she said humanity needed to learn that lesson. To be the kind of species that keeps its promises. That pays its debts. That protects its friends, no matter the cost. So when we heard the Kryn Empire was under attack, every human fleet mobilized. Every shipyard worked triple shifts. Every family sent their best. Because you saved 43,000 human lives 20 years ago. Velthor felt his translator fail to convey his emotion. Admiral. I have no words. You don't need words, Ambassador. You just need to know this, humanity doesn't forget. We don't abandon our friends. And we don't do anything halfway. When you saved those colonists, you didn't just save lives, you earned humanity's eternal friendship. And buddy, when humanity owes you a favor. Morrison's voice carried a fierce pride that made Velthor's scales tingle. Expect the unimaginable. As human relief ships descended to his ravaged homeworld and the wreckage of the Concordat fleet drifted in broken orbits, Velthor understood something profound. The galaxy had spent centuries underestimating humans, seeing them as young, weak, insignificant. They were wrong. Humanity wasn't weak. They were loyal. They were patient. They were terrifyingly capable when roused to action. And they never, ever forgot their friends. Velthor opened a channel to the Kryn High Council. My lords, I strongly suggest we formalize our alliance with the United Earth Alliance. Immediately. On what grounds, Ambassador? Velthor looked at the 6,000 human warships holding position around his world, a fleet built over 2 decades for one purpose, to repay a simple act of kindness. On the grounds that we want them on our side. Always.